Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your May 2016 general reading. I am still using the Gilded Tarot deck, drawing 8 cards for the month, 2 cards for each week with an additional card as your overall theme and general feeling of the month. These are general readings, so if they don't apply or resonate the same for everyone who watches, and they won't, because every one of you are so different and coming from your own unique stories and backgrounds, I suggest you check your rising and your moon sign as well. That's my cat meowing at me. Sorry about that. You should check your rising and your moon sign every month anyway, because there are some months and some readings that they may resonate more predictably for you than your sun sign, and some months and readings where other readers may resonate more predictably for you than the ones you normally watch. So it's all good as long as you get what you need out of the readings. So I do have a new tarot deck. Well, not terribly new. I've been familiarizing myself with it for the last few months. And I'm not using that today, but look for that for the May mid-month readings because I will be bringing that out then, and I'm very excited to do that. I thank you to those of you who watch and listen and subscribe to my channel. I see that the community and the family is growing day by day. Thank you so very much for your support and your feedback and your comments, both the ones that you leave on the videos themselves and the ones that you email me. I don't always have the time to respond to each of them personally, but I do read them, so keep them coming, and thank you very much. And a special thank you to those of you who continue to reach out for personal one-on-one readings with me. It is an honor and a pleasure to read for you, and I thank you for the opportunity and the bit of trust that you give me to occupy a momentary place in your life. And if any of you are interested in a personal reading, you can click on the About sign on my channel's homepage, and that will give you a little more detail and information on myself, the services I offer, and my contact information, which is Maggie, the number 1 McGuire at gmail.com. If you are interested in a reading, you can send me an email. I would be delighted to work with you, and we'll go from there. I do readings full-time, and I work pretty hard with you and your schedule to get you readings as quickly as possible. My current turnaround time is around 1 to 4 days, depending on scheduling and time zone coordination for those of you who prefer live readings via Skype or phone. So let's get right into this reading. This is for Scorpio for May 2016. Scorpio, May 2016. Show me what the month of May holds for our stingers, our lovely, deep, intense Scorpio for May 2016. Scorpio, May 2016. Okay, we begin with the Nine of Swords, followed by the Five of Pentacles, the Hanging Man, followed by the Eight of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Six of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles, followed by the Devil in reverse. Oh, we have another one that fell out with the Devil. I'm going to stick with it. We have the Ten of Pentacles. Interesting. And as your crowning card, the overall theme and advice feeling over the reading from the bottom of the deck is the Star card. Beautiful card. Let's just take a look, Scorpio. You know, I've gotten a lot of love and relationship energy for a lot of the signs this month. Not all of them, but a lot of them, perhaps even most of them. But for you, Scorpio, just right off the bat from looking at this, it looks like a pretty clear, pretty straightforward, almost pure energy about job, money, finances. So let's get started. We find ourselves at the beginning of May 2016 with the Nine of Swords, followed by the Five of Pentacles. So the Nine of Swords. Swords is a suit that's ruled by the element of air, and Swords is a suit that's all about the way we think, our words and ideas, our mindset, our perspectives, how we look at things, our belief systems. And the Nine of Swords is a card about a pretty extreme amount of mental stress, worry, and anxiety. You can see on this card that this woman is sitting up in bed. It appears to be very late. The moon has risen high in the sky. Everyone else is probably asleep, but she's not. She's sitting up in bed. She has her arms crossed over her chest in almost a protective sort of gesture, and she has completely focused, all her mental and emotional energy is completely focused on whatever the source of what's keeping her up. Stress, mental anxiety, mental anguish, almost worry, fear perhaps. She's so consumed by it that she can't sleep. And this is a card that points towards, and I'm sorry to see this for you going into May 2016, Scorpio. It looks like you're entering the month, perhaps ending the end of April, going into May 2016 with a lot on your mind, so much that for some of you it may be keeping you up late at night, perhaps interfering in the day-to-day, operating of your life. It looks like you're really consumed with something, and I think for the vast majority of you watching this, it's going to be about finances, job somehow, feeling really stressed out about your job, perhaps not having enough money to meet the bills, perhaps your hours have been cut, or perhaps you're unemployed and looking for a job, because this Nine of Swords is accompanied by the Five of Pentacles. Now, Pentacles is governed by the element of earth, and Pentacles is typically a suit about things in our earthly, tangible, material environment, things we can see and touch and feel. And most often it points to things like money, finances, job, career, assets, property, very real, tangible things. And the Five of Pentacles points to being at a place, Scorpio, where you're feeling for finances, for job finances, this would represent perhaps being out of work, having just lost your job, being laid off, having a job but not being able to have enough money to make ends meet. It's a card of feeling that you're in need, that you're in want. There's a sense of insufficiency, of not having enough. And I think that's what it seems obvious. That's what's keeping you up late at night, because with this pairing of cards, I mean, I think this is what's playing out for the majority of you, and of course it's going to resonate differently as it always does, because there's so many of you watching, and general readings are fairly general. But I think for the majority of you, whether it's a job you have that isn't paying enough, or a job where you've had your hours cut, or that you've just been laid off, you've been unemployed for a while and you're looking for work, whatever it is, it feels like you're entering May 2016 feeling like you just don't have enough resources. There's not enough money coming in. You're kind of stressed out, wondering how you're going to pay the bills, perhaps how you're going to pay the rent. And for some of you, this could represent, having an unexpected bill, or just having something, I feel, that's related to your material world somehow, where a need needs to be met and you don't feel like you have what it takes to meet that need. Now, right next to that, we have the Hanging Man, Major Arcana card, followed by the Eight of Wands. And I think that for a lot of you, and it feels very specific, it feels like a lot of you are waiting to hear communications back on something in regards to this. I feel like for some of you, this is going to be waiting to hear back on a job. Perhaps some of you are looking for a job, you're unemployed, or you're employed and looking for another job. And it feels like I think for some of you, and perhaps this is a source of your stress, it feels like for some of you this is just taking an interminable amount of time. The Hanging Man can resonate as feeling as if you're in stasis, feeling as if you're in limbo, feeling stuck, feeling like there's no forward motion at all. Some of the other secondary, tertiary definitions of this card can represent making a decision perhaps that looks a little unconventional to the outside world, but just remaining at peace with yourself about it. It can represent withdrawing from conflict, or a refusal to fight a certain battle, or engage in some kind of conflict with another person, or a certain situation, because sometimes the best way to win a battle is not to fight one at all. But again, I think for the majority of you, because of the Pentacles energy that's kind of coming through in this reading, it's going to be feeling that some of you are going to be in a place around the beginning of May, the first, possibly going into the second week of May as well, where you're waiting to hear back on something in regards to your money. Again, how this plays out is going to be different. It could be waiting to hear back on a job, waiting to receive a job offer, waiting to hear back perhaps on, perhaps some of you may be, there may be a danger of your house going into foreclosure, or again, there's just some kind of mental stress, worry, and anxiety, a considerable amount of it, over something in your material world where there's a need that you feel you can't fill, and you're waiting to hear news back on it somehow. And I say that you're waiting to hear news back on it because that Hanging Man is accompanied by the Eight of Wands, which is the communication card. What is it that the Hanging Man is feeling in limbo and stasis about? It's the Eight of Wands. Wands is governed by the element of fire and air. So Wands is a suit that's very dynamic energy. It's all about change, movement, action, power, forward momentum. I can't talk tonight. And this is a card about communications coming, swift, powerful, profound communications. And I feel like they're positive communications because the card came in the upright position. And I feel like uh, it's already in motion. You can see that these wands have already left their place of origin. This is about communication already en route. And I feel like it's going to come quite quickly, perhaps within the second week of May or going into the third week of May. But it just feels like for the time being, while you're waiting for this communication, because it's something that you're waiting to hear about something that you really need or hearing about something being resolved, again, about an issue in your life that feels very strongly connected to finances, job, perhaps property again for some of you. Perhaps some of you are waiting to hear back on a badly needed loan, something to do with that tangible material energy in your environment, and you're waiting to hear back for this information. And it does look like it's coming. It feels like it's actually already in progress. And when it comes, it looks like it's going to be pretty well received by you, that it's going to be very positive communication. So the next coupling of cards we have are looking at or around the third week of May, and I say at or around because the cards don't come attached to specific dates. The energy can be very fluid one way or the other. We have the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Six of Swords. And this coupling of cards, I'm feeling this communication that comes. I just feeling kind of a sense of relief just looking at it and touching the cards. What you're waiting for does arrive, and it does represent a new beginning, a new, very tangible beginning. Pentacles, again, is that earth element energy, things we can see and touch and feel, money, finances, property, job, career, assets. Aces represent new beginnings for the one. They represent seeds and sort of like an initial gift being given, which has the potential to be built on in a pretty nice way over time as it manifests. Aces are seeds, and seeds still need to be planted and nourished so that they can grow to their complete fruition. Otherwise, they just kind of die out as initial sparks of energy or initial gifts. But the Ace of Pentacles represents a new beginning in your tangible world, Scorpio. And again, depending on how the original energy plays out for you, this is going to resonate differently. For those of you waiting to hear back about a job, it does look like the job offer comes, and it is an actual job offer, and you take it, and it represents a new beginning for you in a new job, perhaps on a new career path. It looks like it's a beginning job, but it looks like it has the potential to be built on and to provide some stability down the road. And it feels like, and for others of you, again, this is going to be perhaps hearing news, waiting to hear news about a house somehow. Perhaps there's been some danger due to some financial difficulties of foreclosure on the house or rent on an apartment. For some of you, maybe you've applied for a much needed loan, something to do with those tangible energies. However it plays out for you, the news comes, it makes you happy, and it does represent a new beginning, a tangible gift, that job offer coming through, that loan coming through. This could represent an actual gift of money because you find yourself in difficult circumstances. You've reached out for help, perhaps to family, friends, someone that has their own stable financial resources to be able to help you, and it does come, and it really feels like it takes a lot of the load off you. I feel relieved just looking at this combination, because the Ace of Pentacles is accompanied by the Six of Swords, which is a card that represents sailing from troubled, turbulent, chaotic, challenging times and waters into a smoother, more serene, more placid, peaceful sort of environment. In other tarot decks, I've seen the water behind the boat be very choppy and wavy and turbulent, and the water in front of the boat be very smooth and placid and serene. This does represent, again, that whatever challenging times you've been facing, and again, for a lot of you, it feels like financial difficulty, restriction, or need, or something related to a material, tangible need, something that you've been waiting for that you really need, a loan, a job offer, hearing back good news about property, something like that. It comes, you're able to start, you're able to have a new beginning. It's a real gift. It takes a lot of the pressure off that you come into the month of May with, Scorpio, with that Nine of Swords, staying up all night energy. And it represents being able to, this new beginning, this new start represents being able to move into to move past this, um, and into a less stressful time because you now have something to build upon. This is a transitional card too. It's a temporary. It's transitional energy. It's temporary. For some of you, this can represent actual travel because sixes do represent actual physical movement. It could mean actual physical travel away from this, physical relocation. Perhaps you're waiting for news about moving, and that's what comes, and you're able to move. But I think for the majority of you, it's more of a mental, emotional relief and going away from these financially or physically, tangibly difficult times for you. There is a sense of peace and restoration and healing about this card, which looks like it's much needed because it looks like you've been under quite a mental and emotional burden with this. Um, but it is a transitional card. It represents that in-between time from things being really tough and challenging and being actually in a place where you're stable and kind of stress and worry free. You're in that kind of, this card represents being in that transitional time where there's finally some movement after it feels like there's been no movement, that you've been stuck, and you're finally moving through and away from these challenging times due to this very tangible gift or offer that you've received. And again, I think for the majority of you, I think for a lot of you, I'm not even sure that I would say majority of you. I know some readers can channel actual percentages. I don't. But I think for a large amount of you, it's a job offer, getting a new job, getting another job, and the extra income coming in, or actually having a paycheck finally coming in is just taking a lot of stress and relief off of stress and pressure off of you, and is very relieving, which of course it would be. We live in a world where we have to make money to pay our bills. And it does represent a fair amount of work, but it looks like it's work that you embrace and that it brings a balancing sort of energy where there's been a lot of imbalance. Again, I feel like in your financial, physical, tangible world. Because at or towards the end of the month, Scorpio, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Worker Bee card, followed by two cards. We have the Devil in reverse, which came out first, but right on its heels popped out this Ten of Pentacles, and I really felt like there was just a very strong message, especially since your crowning card is the Star, which is about hope and faith and hang on, relief is coming kind of energy. So you have that Eight of Pentacles paired with the Devil in reverse and the Ten of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles, lots of Pentacles energy here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half of your spread is Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles I often refer to as the Worker Bee card because it is a card that represents the slow, steady, dedicated, but very successful working towards a future, towards a goal. You can see that the man on this card is hard at work on his desk. He's been working for quite some time. You can see that there are 7 pentacles in the air above him, and he's hard at work on the 8th one. Pentacle by pentacle, with the same attention, diligence, and attention to detail he has put into each pentacle and has slowly built up each one, worked on each one, perfected it, put it away, and moved on to the next one. This is a card about, you know, working quite a bit, working very diligently because you are working towards something. You have a goal, a dream, a foundation, something that you're working on building because this man is very dedicated to what he's doing, what he's working towards. You can see that it's getting late outside. The sun is setting. He's already lit his candles to see by. He appears to be alone. His coworkers are probably out having their after work beer or cocktails or social hour, but he's not. He's still at his desk hard at work because he's working very hard on a goal. And I really feel like, again, for a lot of you who get a much needed and much waited for job offer, you accept the job and you start working, and it's taken a lot of the mental and emotional pressure over, as it would, off of your shoulders. And it looks like at or towards the end of May 2016, Scorpio, you begin working, and you begin working with a will. And again, it's sitting right next to the Ace of Pentacles, which represents that this job or this offer, this news that you got, that represents now the work that you can begin doing. It looks like it has the potential to build a very good, solid, stable foundation, as it is the Pentacles. And you're very committed and very willing and very dedicated towards doing that, as the Eight of Pentacles represents. And it's really going to represent a leveling out and a balancing of what was a significant source of imbalance in your life. That Eight of Pentacles is accompanied by the Devil in reverse. In the upright position, this is a major arcana card, so it represents significant, profound life shift or change or advice or messages from the fingers of the divine, as I like to call them. In the upright position, it represents significant imbalance, profound imbalance, which could represent it can represent addictions, conventional addictions like drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling, etc. It can represent unhealthy relationships where there's, perhaps power and control issues, too much neediness or possessiveness. Um, at its basic definition, it's imbalance, serious, significant, profound imbalance. Too much attention and focus being put in one area to the detriment of other areas and exclusion of other things. And I really feel like, again, however this energy you begin May 2016 with in your tangible sector, finances, job, home, property, um, it's represented a major imbalance. Perhaps you've been robbing Peter to pay Paul and really having to juggle and getting behind on bills, on rent. Um, but you've got this in the reverse. I think that as this process plays out for you, Scorpio, this offer that you get, this loan that you get, this job that you get, that you start working on, not only does it relieve, of course, this mental anxiety, this pressure that you've been feeling, but it represents the potential to build on a pretty good solid foundation. It looks like it has quite a good potential, and it's going to represent, as it would, the balancing out of what was previously out of balance. There's a wholeness and a harmonious integration that's coming along with it. And I just keep feeling like job. So I think that for a large portion of you watching this, it's going to be having got a job offer, gotten a promotion, gotten another job, something that represents the huge release of financial burden or burden in that tangible sector of your life. That Devil in Reverse also came accompanied with the Ten of Pentacles, which is a beautiful card. I love seeing the month end for you, Scorpio, in a much better way than it began. It looks like you're transitioning. You're not there yet, but you're transitioning into a much better and less stressful time. Again, that Eight of Pentacles, which represents the slow, steady, successful building up of something and towards something, it's almost like you got a double message that you can relax, you can take a deep breath at the end of the month. It looks like you're going to be working hard, but you're working towards something very tangible. It looks like it has great potential, that you're building up a really good, solid, stable foundation and future for yourself. The Ten of Pentacles represents that. It also represents, as it's a 10 in numerology, the ending of a cycle, the culmination of something, the coming full circle and wrapping up of something. And in this case, because it's the Ten of Pentacles, it represents success, abundance, prosperity in a step-by-step kind of health and longevity down the road. There's also a connection with family and home in this too. It can represent family business, family estate, family money. It represents that whatever this is, which is of a huge benefit to you, is not only beneficial to you, but for your family, for those in your closest sphere, for those that you take care of, which of course, getting extra money coming in, getting a job when you've been out of work or another job to bring in more money would represent, for those of you who have family or people that you take care of. But it also represents building a foundation that looks like it's going to be not only successful and prosperous as you work towards it, but that it's building a foundation that's going to last for quite a long time. So, yay! I get this kind of, it's like the first half of the month is all about you're stressed out about this, and there's just so much going on in your head because there's such a need, there's such a lack and insufficiency somewhere in the tangible pentacles energy sector of your life. It feels like you're waiting to hear back uh, for some source of relief, and it feels like it's just forever. But then around the middle of the month, maybe the beginning of the third week of May, Scorpio, it comes in. Again, that gift, that loan, that money, that job comes in. Finally, it represents whole new beginnings. The pressure begins to be lifted, and you begin to transition out of this. The end of May 2016 finds you working hard, happily, towards your future, building up a foundation. If it's a job, it looks like a pretty good one, and that it looks like you're going to be more and more successful as time goes on. You're going to build it up to be something quite good. For some of you, this can be a personal business, perhaps that perhaps fell onto some hard times. Perhaps you were almost on the verge of filing for bankruptcy, or you applied for a loan and got it. Again, it's going to play out differently as it always does because there's so many of you wonderful people watching. But the end of the month looks to be much, much better and more stable and much more hopeful in a tangible, realistic, grounded way at the end of the month. And that's further underscored by your crowning card, which represents the overall theme and feeling and message, really, over this reading, Scorpio. And I'm feeling like it's a very strong message from God, Spirit, the universe, your angels and guides, however your sense of spirituality resonates for you. We have the beautiful card of the beautiful major arcana card of the star. For those of you who have cats, indoor cats, every once in a while, do your cats ever just go completely ballistic and start running around like psychotic creatures for no reason at all? It's exactly what my cat's doing. She's never done this during a reading before, but I'm trying to ignore it, and it's kind of comical. Anyway, we have the star card, overall crowning card. It's one of my two favorite cards in the deck, in the tarot deck. My two favorite cards are the star card and the fool card. I love them both. If there's one word I could attach to the star card, it's faith. It would actually be hope and faith. That's the biggest theme of this card, and I feel, Scorpio, so strongly that it is a message from your angels, your guides, God, the universe telling you, especially the first half of the month, because it feels like you're very, very, I'm sorry, it feels like you're very, very stressed out. Pie. My cat's name is Pie, short for Pie Wacket. If any of you have ever seen Bell Book and Candle, you'll understand why her name is Pie Wacket. It feels like you're so stressed out at the beginning of May, and I feel probably like for a little while before then. And this is a very strong message saying, for those of you for whom this resonates, hang in there. You're almost there. Relief is on its way. It's coming. You're going to end the month in a much better place than you begin the month. This is a card of hope and faith, and knowing that the wheel is beginning to turn on the upswing for you. You can see that the woman on this card, she is knee deep or kneeling down in water. She's bare-breasted, which implies a certain sense of being unashamed, of being at peace with herself. She is completely pouring her pitchers out into the water, completely pouring them completely out with perfect faith and perfect confidence that her pitchers will be refilled because the source is limitless. It's a card of absolute faith, hope, knowing that the wheel is on the upswing for you, knowing that this is a card of good times are coming. It's actually deeper than that. It's a card that also has a strong theme of hope, restoration, and healing, just like the Six of Swords does, but in a stronger way because it's a major arcana card. I've seen this card come up for people who've suffered from a long illness and they're starting to recover again. People who went through a very traumatic breakup, kind of disappeared off the grid for a while and are just kind of coming back. It's a card of waking up and realizing that the sun is still shining. Life is still meant to be lived. There's still beautiful blessings. The road ahead of you is filled with promise and success. It is coming. And just having hope and faith in the promise and potential of that. Hang in there, Scorpio. For those of you for whom this reading resonates, especially going into May, if you find yourself really stressed out, try and pull back some of that negative energy. Have hope and faith because the end of the month, you're going to end the end of the month with a much more positive, hopeful direction in a very tangible, practical, grounded way than it looks like a lot of you are beginning the month with. For those of you who are looking for advice or clarification or resonation on love or relationship readings, it's funny because a lot of the signs this month, I got a lot of love and relationship energies and very little of the Pentacles energy. And it looks like for you, Scorpio, it's the opposite. So for love and relationships, perhaps check your rising and your moon sign, or perhaps another one of the readers that you may watch. They may resonate more predictively for you this month. But for the rest of you, again, for those of you who are going into May and you're staying up late, you've got all this energy kind of going on, and it feels like it's taking a lot out of you, a lot of pressure. Try and pull some of that back. Do whatever it is you need to do to recharge. Take your hot baths, take a walk, have a glass of wine, not a vat, just a glass, and have hope and faith because it is going to play out better for you at the end of the month. I feel probably starting a little bit before that, Scorpio. So I hope you've enjoyed this reading, Scorpio. I hope it has resonated for you, given you some wisdom, clarity, and insight, and some hope. Hang in there. It's going to be fine. It really, really will be. Thank you so much for watching. And again, those of you that are interested in a personal one-on-one reading, you can click on the About sign on my channel's homepage and email me directly at Maggie, the number one, McGuire at gmail.com. I would be delighted to do a reading for you and with you. And until I see you again in a couple of weeks for the May 2016 mid-month readings with a new deck of cards, I, as always, wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life, Scorpio. Hang in there. Help is on its way. And I will see you soon. Bye.